Good morning, Joseph here from Eightcap. Welcome to Trade Zone's Asian session update. So last week we saw some strong selling against risk markets, primarily from the USD and also over stock indexes. The Fed minutes was one of the key influences, showing that interest rates could continue to rise at a larger size and at a continued pace, and that was after lower CPI and the last FOMC, which sort of painted a picture that things may be easing, but the minutes sort of came in and dashed some of those hopes. This morning so far we are seeing a higher USD. I want to touch on the dollar. We've seen a really good week from the USD, and this morning we are seeing further buying, and we are really getting close to that 108.50 area, and that was sort of the last closing high area for the dollar index, and that was back in July. So we'll be looking to see if markets can get back up to that area this week. The Aussie dollar and some other commodity currencies were very hard hit last week. We can see how heavy the Aussie dollar was sold, and it was a similar story on the New Zealand dollar. Both of those were heavily hit by sellers. The euro and the pound were also sold, but the euro did try to put up a bit of defense, but the last two sessions of the week we did see a strong move down, and the pound was a similar story on the pound as well. After we had a bit of a resistance at this area, 2044, sellers, once they got going, they really took the market back lower, and the pound's currently sitting back at levels not seen since mid last month. So if we do see the dollar continue to push higher, we're going to be wondering if we do see a slip below that area, and that starts to take us back into lows not seen all the way back in the 3rd of 2020, and that was basically when the COVID really reared its head, and we saw that market panic at the beginning of the pandemic. So that's where the pound's sort of sitting at the moment. It will be interesting to see if that can continue, if we do see a break of this point here, which is at 1.1760. Now, oil had a bit of a mixed week last week. We did see some pretty heavy selling to start the week, but we saw a midweek rally that sort of looked to save grace in a sense. It was a strong move. It was a bit over it was over 3%, and we saw a pushback up to that $90 area. So far for now, oil looks to be having a hard time getting back and holding above 100. We haven't seen prices at that 100 level since the end of July, and so far at the moment we are seeing lower highs and lower lows in this series, so showing that that current downtrend is still in play. So for sellers now, though, the pressure's back onto them. They will need to launch a new move to get the market back down to continue this pattern by putting in a new lower low, breaking below that 86.27 point. As you would expect, gold, it had a mainly lower leak last week. We didn't see a higher session, and so far today it's been pretty flat, with Friday and midweeks being the lowest days for that after that session on the 15th. So we still have this nice trend here. It looks like it's getting close to that 50% point. So if fortunes do change for the USD, could we possibly see a new rally start to move higher on gold? And if we do see buyers come in at this 50% point, we'll be looking to see a bit more evidence that this move here could be over, and if we do see a new lower high and a break, that would be a bit of a worry. But again, it does look like it will come down to some factors this week for the USD and its fortunes, and we'll get into that shortly. So stock indices, we've touched on a few other risk markets, so they didn't, it was a very similar story. We saw a fair bit of selling. It wasn't as heavy as some of the Forex pairs we saw, but we saw the US 30, the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500 all pushed lower, but again, as we noted, the moves lower were nowhere near as strong as we saw on some of the risk FX pairs. and trends still remain pretty firm. Would need to see a decent bit more further selling with a bit of a lower high breaking that previous low, just to continue to say that we are looking at the possibility of momentum change. We can't discount these recovery trends just yet until we see a bit more evidence that things are starting to change. So this week we do have a fair bit of data coming out. We have another CPI index coming out in the US. We have the flash services manufacturing data for Germany, France and EU and the UK coming out tomorrow. But I think the key one the market will be looking at this week is Jackson Hole, and I think that will all be revolving around Powell's current stance on the Fed and the rate rises moving forward. I think a lot of market expectation will be on that meeting, and that runs on Friday and Saturday, and I think they'll be looking for that to set the tone for where they think, or give them at least hints as to where they think rates are going to be and how things are doing with inflation and the course that we're going to see in the future, and that could have a pretty strong impact on the USD this week. So hopefully we could see, well, depends on which side of the dollar you are. If it was positive for it, as we mentioned before, could we see a new break above or a test of the high July highs, pushing this trend onwards? Otherwise it could be a bit sour for the USD, and we could see a move lower on the dollar. So we want to finish to this week's update on crypto. Now Friday was a bit of a surprise for crypto. We won't cover too many of the coins, but we'll just look at a few of the majors in the top 10. This is Friday's session here, and we saw a really key move lower after a grinding couple of days. The market didn't really know what it was doing until we saw that first edging out, and again we are watching this pattern. It's been highlighted by quite a few people now. A lot of people are viewing it as an ending diagonal. Normally they are bearish, and we can't argue with what we've seen so far with this strong move down. Friday's session lower was not a surprise, but it did snowball into some pretty solid momentum lower, and I think on Friday morning a lot of people wouldn't have been expecting that. And Saturday we saw some more selling, but Sunday we saw a bit of a fight back, and the same was seen on Ethereum and a lot of other coins. Saturday was a pretty strong day down again for Ethereum. We just go down to the key indexes. So at Eightcap we offer two indexes which they basically cover the top 10 and top 25. So if you're looking at the top 10, we can see that pattern is quite similar as well. We have that ending diagonal type pattern that's been broken out of, and I think now a lot of expectations and ideas will be on whether this is actually a real breakout and this recovery trend that everyone has been watching, a lot of people have been trading, and if that's over. So key, I think again a lot will come down to to interest rates. Bitcoin really got going lower, and so did a lot of other cryptos after the Fed minutes last week. So it still looks like that correlation is still pretty strong between those two. And if we do see continued rate hikes and talk of further rate hikes, will they continue to have that negative impact on Bitcoin? And we have discussed this on the top 25. We did talk about whether we could see a break of this level here. It didn't. Once again, it found resistance there and wasn't able to break it, and now we are seeing that resistance point. So I did look at that as a pretty key area for buyers to get through to say that this rally was going to continue. It's not really over yet, but definitely there's some serious pressure back on the crypto markets, and we'll really need to see something firm from buyers to say that they're going to be back in demand. So Sunday was a good start for that, but it really depends. Do we see that as an exhaustion bar and a push lower, or are we going to see a break of this low? If we do see a break of this low and a new move lower, then definitely I think there's a lot of pressure starting to unravel on this recovery trend. So again, we just want to touch on some of the key news this week. So Jackson Hole this Friday and Saturday. We have European and UK services and manufacturing data coming out tomorrow, and then around midweek we do have that CPI index coming out in the States. So some of the key things to look out for this week. Again, we thank you for tuning in today. we hope you enjoy your week and you enjoy your Monday, and we wish you all the best with your trading. And please stay up to date with our latest socials. And this is the first part of the Trade Zone Week Ahead series, so there'll be more to come today from our other star analysts. So thank you again, and thanks again for your time. Goodbye for now.